In the face of rapidly changing and escalating environmental concerns, there comes an ever-growing need for sustainable energy to help mitigate, if not outright fight back, against the impact left behind by the carbon footprint in our atmosphere. Unlike the carbon-based energy sources that we rely on, sustainable energy sources harness their power from renewable sources that cannot and will not deplete, such as wind, water, or even the sun. And they present an alternative to the aforementioned carbon-based sources, one that will reduce and perhaps even eliminate the negative impacts our energy consumption leaves behind. Recently, an Omani PhD candidate at the Canterbury Christchurch University, Mohammed bin Khalifa Al Alawi, conducted a study looking into a means of storing excessive amounts of clean and sustainable energy. So without further ado, let's take a look at it. The study comes to us due to two related reasons. The first being the transportation sector's objectives related to decarbonization, and the second being the rise of electric vehicles, which in turn concerns regarding the amount of discarded, or retired in this instance, electric vehicle batteries out there. The study, as led by Mohammed, proposes that these deinstalled batteries may still have some use left in them, albeit in a different manner, as he believes that these batteries can play a crucial role in creating a stable, clean, and renewable source of energy. Before we move any further though, let's ask ourselves a simple but technical question. What are retired electric vehicle batteries, REVBS for short? Well, a member representing the station had the opportunity to speak with Mohammed.
So electric vehicle batteries are the major component in an electric car, and they are lithium-ion battery packs. So there are battery packs that are using lithium-ion technology, and they are composed of different modules, and each module in this battery pack is made up of various battery cells. Now, with regard to the battery cells, there are different types of lithium-ion battery cells, depending on the material used for the battery cell internal structure, like the electrochemistry of the battery itself. So, for example, there are different types of lithium-ion batteries, including LFP, which is lithium iron phosphate, LCO, NMC, and others. The main function of the battery in an electric car is to store energy, which is electricity, and this electricity is to be provided to the electric motor, which, when required, in order to accelerate the car. So if we think, if we compare it with the petrol and diesel car that we are more familiar with, the electric battery act as a fuel tank in our petrol cars. So, for example, in a petrol car, we have the fuel petrol, and it's stored in a petrol tank. Similarly, in electric cars, the battery packs store electricity and provide it to the motor whenever required.
As stated earlier, the global increase in the sales of electric vehicles is one of the factors that led to the study, because while a rise in the purchases of electric vehicles can help in the reduction of carbon emissions, the discarded and retired batteries could cause potential harm to the environment. As such, Mohammed and his team looked to see if there could be a way in which they could salvage the retired batteries and use them to further aid the environment.
So as we know, like electric cars currently, they represent a major advancement in the transportation sector. They play an important role in reducing greenhouse gas emissions like CO2, and they are also advancing the Sustainable Development Goals for reaching the net zero target. We have noticed that the global market, the global car market, has experienced a significant increase in the electric vehicle sales. And this was driven by government incentives and people being more aware about electric car benefits and so on. However, this increase, as we said, comes with a concern, which is the number of retired batteries that we will end up. And because the retired batteries then will cause some environmental issues if they were not disposed properly and so on. And this brought our interest, so this was our motivation. And the key question that we wanted to answer is, how do we deal with the environmental challenge that emerged from EV adoption? So we decided to conduct a systematic review to evaluate the state-of-art modeling and experimental studies, mainly focused on repurposing retired electrical vehicle batteries in second life applications. from a technical and economic aspect. So this was the aim of the study.
So we know what the retired batteries are and why the study was conducted, but the question remains, how? How can they be used when it comes to matters related to clean, sustainable energies? Well, the thing to keep in mind is that these retired batteries are quite adaptable when it comes to their functionality, and according to the study conducted, they can be repurposed to be used as a storage unit for excessive energy. Say you have a solar panel grid and you surpass the amount of energy that you require, then the excess in question will be passed along to the batteries and stored within them, only to be used when needed, as well as aiding the power grid system. However, there is one aspect of the batteries that could prove to be problematic, and that's a matter of regulating power frequencies. So what exactly does that mean? Well, to keep it brief, power frequency regulation refers to a process in which the electrical frequency being generated is controlled to maintain a stable, steady, and consistent frequency. In layman's terms, and without getting overly technical, the electricity demand of a power grid can fluctuate, and a power frequency regulator ensures that the amount of energy supplied meets those demands without burdening the grid with an excess of power and providing it as much as it needs at any given point. However, the viability of the batteries to properly regulate the power frequencies is brought into question. You see, this whole process can be quite intensive, and as such, it raises the question of just how quick will it wear out and degrade the battery.
However, it was also noticed throughout the study that some intensive applications like frequency regulation can be less viable in terms of reusing these retired batteries to perform frequency regulation, because the working conditions required are a bit more intensive and they lead to the faster degradation. Another very important finding of the study was what we identified, that the average initial end-of-life state of health of these batteries was about 78% at their first end of life in electric cars. And the second end of life, after we use them in the second life application as we want to, the second end of life state of health would be between 50 to 60%.
Now, these are all matters related to the technical aspects of the batteries. There's also the economic aspect that we must take into account. There, of course, is a matter of marketing the batteries to potential buyers who are looking to switch over to greener and cleaner energy sources, which also presents its own obstacles that need to be overcome. According to the study, there is a lack of marketing regulations when it comes to the process of reselling these batteries, particularly in two specific fields, the state of health and the state of charge. Think of these two states as a ratio comparing the status of the battery when it was brand new to when it's been used, with the state of health acting as an indicator of the battery's overall and remaining health, and the state of charge being an indicator of how much charge has been used and how much remains. These figures are important pieces of information that potential buyers would need to know before proceeding with their purchase, as it would present an accurate estimate of how much remains of the battery's lifespan and to what extent it can still be used after being discarded of its original purpose of powering electric vehicles. Then there's also the matter of regulating the prices of these batteries, with the research recommending that the adopted price be 35% of the cost of a brand new battery when sold directly in the market, with the suggestion that the price point will prove to be economically feasible even if the price of a brand new battery sees a reduction in price. Of course, with the research now out there, Mohammed and his team are hoping that those involved with the research, be they researchers themselves or businessmen, could utilize his studies to foster better marketing opportunities when it comes to reselling retired electric vehicle batteries. Then, of course, there are the policymakers, who Mohammed hopes would instill policy interventions to ensure the establishment of an environment that is conducive to improvement and growth of the retired electric vehicle batteries that are available in the market. I want to end this piece by saying that we do appreciate the work that Mohammed is putting in to create a healthier environment for all of us to live in. And here's hoping that we get to see a greener, cleaner, and more sustainable future.